Hi guys, good afternoon. Good afternoon. In my neck of the woods is 1:52 p.m. and it's July 5th, 2025. I trust everyone in America and around America who are Americans enjoy their 4th of July. I trust that the fireworks, all the family gatherings, the barbecue, everything went well. I was privy to see some last evening in the skies. They were beautiful, they were well planned, and it lasted for a long time. It's nice to see some joy go up to the sky. Okay, guys, just to let you know, I start every video by introducing myself. My name is Nicola Thompson. Um, I was Nicola Thompson Harris. I'm now a divorcee. I hail all the way from Ghana, South America, and I'm living in Ozone Park, Queens, in New York. I've been in this country for 10 years, and there are mixed emotions or mixed feelings based on my 10 years here, in this country. However, I always say that everything happens for us, not necessarily to us, but for us. So when certain things happen in our lives, it's for a purpose. Okay, guys? It's either lessons to make us strong, it's either helping us to make certain decisions in our life that's going to move us forward in a positive light. And it's also allowing us to make decisions of people, places, and things that we should not pursue and continue with in the future. Certain things that you just don't do. However, guys, I've been talking about abuse behind the scenes from a group of people for well over 5 years. I'm hoping that it doesn't go into the 6th year. I guarantee that it wouldn't. Now, I want to talk about the topic that I'm going to definitely address here today. It has to do with extortion, exploitation, freedom of speech, and basically who we are as people. And then I want to apply it to the amendments, the US Constitution. Okay? I hope not to go into 2 videos, but I'm hoping that this one will be able to get my message over to my fellow immigrants and to the US citizens, those good citizens, those judicial bodies of integrity, government bodies, the government, people in power, just to see this video and understand what people like myself is experiencing from people who are filled with hate, envy, and greed. So I want to apply extortion back to the 8th Amendment because I did research which one of these amendments actually protects extortion. And that is the 8th Amendment, taking people's money, their properties, they think that does not belong to another, and using it for your own purpose. That is extortion. The 13th Amendment basically look at exploitation, exploiting people's services and taking from them without their knowing, without their knowledge, and you're taking what is not yours, of course, again, and using it for your interest and your family and for your wealth and your life, and taking from others, right? This arm basically protects the right of people and also protect all races. The First Amendment, of course, is freedom of speech. So we have a right to speak, to say if something is hurting, if it's paining, if we don't feel right, if it's a very uncomfortable situation, if it's a position where you are that you don't see growth. We have a right to speak up, or we have a right to leave that situation, place, person, or whatever that is not fulfilling us. We have the right to move away, to dissect ourselves from those things, people, places, or places, okay? Also, I was also looking at what amendment basically cover defamation of character. And it clearly states that we have freedom of speech. People can say anything that they say about our other. And it is our right to prove and to bring them before a judicial body, a government body, wherever, to prove the things that they're saying is incorrect. So it's all about proof when it comes to defamation of character. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why am I doing this video? Why am I going into such detail with exploitation, extortion, defamation of character, and stolen identity, as I will now speak about, and freedom of speech? A few days ago, I called a book company that I wrote a book, and the name of the book is "Was It Because I Was Black?" And I said to him that I want a certificate, my copyright certificate. And the marketing executive said to me, "You're the third person who called about getting the copyrights for that book." And that I knew all along, what I knew, what I felt, what my intuition was saying to me. Now, this group of people that have come after me for years, they have exploited my identity and extort many depth of extortion take from me from behind the scene through my identity, using my contents and things that as it pertains to me. Now, the reason why they were able to get away with that is because they have created a narrative. They were very strategic in creating a false narrative of who I am. I'm an introvert by nature, so I don't socialize, I don't go to party, I don't drink, I don't do alcohol. I do home, go to movies or park, I go to a museum. That's me. I'm different. I've been different from a child. So this group of people definitely use that as leverage. They weaponize me being an introvert, that they would able to tell the courts all these different lies of who I am and what I did and what I'm not. And nobody actually come to ask me if any of this is true. But decisions were made behind the scenes to actually not only fuel, but to fulfill this group of people narrative, because when it came down to the final analysis, it was all about exploiting who I am for money. It was all had to do with money. Now, as an immigrant who's in this country only for 10 years, as I always say, didn't understand the U.S. citizen, vulnerable to the U.S. Constitution, at first. So they were able to definitely carry out these masses of attacks and create this volume of inaccurate narrative of who I am. Now, was I watched? Yes. On a large scale, yes. Was I followed? Yes. On a large scale, yes. Everything that I do. But the reason why they do this is to definitely to put a muzzle and to counteract every place I go because of what they have done behind the scene. Now, a few months ago, somebody reached out to me to ask me to purchase my book. And I said, I'm not selling it because I will be doing sequels to my book. So I knew somewhere along the line that they either tried to sell my book, they sold it already, and that money they're waiting to share among each other, or they probably would have shared it, but they probably in the process of getting the copyrights. But that's what I'm fighting for, and that's what I will get, and I'll definitely take it to the end. You see, when I came to the United States of America, I followed the rules. The rules was, if you come here, you need to go back to school. You need to make sure you keep in line. I've never committed a crime, not even a parking ticket. I don't drive. So I've followed the rules. I'm one of them that follow the U.S. rules. Was I looking for friends? I was, but I was looking for friends and partnership in all the wrong people. And when I realized that I was attracting scammers, con artists, I said, you know what? That's it. Because what they see in me is that they could definitely extort and exploit who I am. Because of my skills and knowledge, that's one. One is that I'm good at writing, not perfect, have a long way to go, but I like writing, it comes naturally. And speaking and uplifting the masses, that's something I do. I'm pleading to the U.S. government to basically help us people from these type of con artists that walks around. This video is going into part 2. I really didn't want it to go into part 2, but it's going to go into part 2. But part 2 is where I'm going to talk and plead with the